And Mr. Rozendaal, Blake Rozendaal, has joined us actually a few minutes ago. Blake is a new candidate, also a member of the coalition. Blake is tell me if I get this right, you're a technical architect. Also, you've been a solution engineer here in the last couple of years with the same firm. Now you're running for Urbandale City Council, and actually there's 3 openings. So Blake is running for one of the 3. And so Blake, we're going to give you 5 minutes to talk about yourself and your campaign. Then after that, Patrick will take the floor. Patrick's the chair of our election and endorsement committee. He will ask you 2 or 3 questions, whatever time permits. And then we'll do a hard stop at 7:30. And with that, Blake, the floor is yours for the next 5 minutes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me here today. It was really, it's an honor to be here and talk to you all.
Thank you.
So my name is Blake Rozendaal. I've been an Urbandale resident since 2017, and that's where I've decided to kind of plant my roots and grow my family. I've got 2 young kids, a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. And so the 5-year-old's about to start school at Valerius, the new building here. So we're super excited to get her started at kindergarten. I'd say the thing that drives me the most when it comes to like public service is just the opportunity to be able to do some good. There's a lot of stories that you get in the news where it's like government is doing this bad or inefficiently, or and I'm like, we can do good. And in Urbandale, we have done really well, but there's always room for improvement and there's always room for growth. And that's kind of what I like to see. And so I've been working over the past few years and as a member of the Public Art Committee in Urbandale, and really working to help expand it beyond its bounds of just mainly being recognized as the sculpture committee, as some people lovingly call us, trying to get more in the terms of performance art and kind of more non-traditional art forms in the public space where we didn't usually play in those areas. I spearheaded an initiative where we partnered with City Sounds of Des Moines and to get one of the public pianos out front of Urbandale's library. And I think that was hugely successful because there was a lot of people that saw it and got to connect with it and just have a really great time in front of a public space, in front of a free piano that made it accessible for anybody to come enjoy music. I'm also a member of the Urbandale 4th of July committee and helped work with them to get their website going, using my technology expertise to make sure that we had a solid presence and making sure that we had a really, really excellent and accessible celebration, especially this year with some of the expanded options we had for registration and all of those good things. So it's been a really good opportunity to get involved in civic life in Urbandale and see kind of where there are opportunities. I also volunteer with the Urbandale Community Action Network, and that was really, really eye-opening for me because prior to that, I really hadn't seen what is, beyond the surface level of Urbandale, and seeing all of the need in our community and ways that people can get involved to help alleviate some of those needs. And so it really gave me some insight into how the city of Urbandale itself can help work with some of these local partners to try and alleviate some of that need in our community and support those who are really working hard in our city.
Well, Blake, thank you very much. We're going to give the floor over to Patrick, our chair of our election endorsement committee. Patrick, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Mitch. And thank you, Blake, for joining us tonight and for answering our questionnaires. So regarding that questionnaire, so question number 2 asked if you would support hiring outside contractors to complete work currently done by city employees as a cost-cutting measure. You indicated that you'd oppose it, and that you instead would investigate less disruptive ways to improve government efficiency. So we're interested in getting your thoughts on how such a measure would be disruptive.
So in terms of hiring outside contractors being disruptive, yeah. So I think the main thing there is going to be like workplace morale. Like, you know, when you're talking about replacing somebody, that's your team there is going to take a huge hit in terms of like, well, what did I do wrong? Was I not doing a good enough job? Things like that. Questions that if you're not paying attention aren't going to get answered, and it's just going to be a huge problem. In addition to that, the changeover of roles from somebody who's already done the role for what could have been a while, over to a group that's just getting into it and hasn't known the community, or maybe isn't as well versed in what you're trying to accomplish. There may be a stutter in the short term, and long term wise, as a consultant myself, I know how much my company bills per hour for me. And so I have a hard time kind of justifying the consultants are going to save you money type of idea. Like, consultants can be good for bringing in expertise you don't have or things like that, but it's not a long-term solution for saving money or just improving overall efficiency or anything like that.
All right, thank you for that answer. So question 3A on the questionnaire asked you how you would address the lack of affordable housing in your community. You stated your desire to see the city partner with developers to reuse existing structures to reduce the construction costs for affordable housing. Aside from existing structures, are there any other ways you'd address affordable housing in Urbandale? And how would you ensure that quality affordable housing development occurs in all parts of the city?
That's a good question. So I think you really hit it on the head there with all parts of the city. Like, there's a lot of development going on the west side of the city. And how do we make it so that people that don't have the ability to buy $500,000 houses or something like that can live on the west side of Urbandale? There are, like, we can work with different partnerships of nonprofits. I think when it comes to it's really partnerships. So like looking at what can we do to talk with neighborhood finance corporation, like see if that's something that they'd be interested in getting involved with, like actually home building. I know right now they're doing stuff on the east side of Urbandale with kind of renovation and restoration of existing properties, to help kind of make those last longer and improve the market value of them and everything like that. And then just see if there are groups that we can get involved with, to help take some of those portions and talk to developers and say, hey, like, mixing the different types of building that we do, instead of just putting huge single family units all together, like try and mix it up and try and build like mixed use buildings with apartments on the top level and businesses on the first level, or stuff like that. Trying to figure out, is there ways that we can diversify the level of housing, and work within the groups that we have right now, because I think we all want to have a community that is accessible, and not, we're not trying to exclude people from living in our communities. And so I think just making sure that we work to forge those partnerships is going to be really important.
Okay, thank you. So question 6 of the questionnaire asked you what new gun safety measures you would support to protect our community. You indicated that you're supportive of universal background checks and red flag laws, but you didn't mention things like gun buyback, safety locks, and common sense gun laws. So can you tell us now, what are your views on these measures?
Yeah, I think the lock measure, I think, is a really important tool. Because I think anybody who legally owns a gun, the problem you're going to find is that folks may not store it safely. So things like locks. Honestly, I don't know, with the city of Urbandale, like in the situation we have in the state of Iowa legislatively. I can't say for certain what the city is allowed to do or not allowed to do, because it seems like the legislature has tied the hands of the city quite a bit. in terms of what types of measures that can be done, but I would definitely be interested in like what can the city do to incentivize either guns locks or gun safes or things like that for if you do legally own a gun to protect it from being misused or stolen or like the tragic situations of children getting a hold of them that we see in the news. In terms of buybacks, I'd be interested in exploring that type of idea. I don't know what latitude the city has to do such a thing. One thing that I would be really interested in, and I think that the city does have a little bit more power to support, is looking at new construction and things in that realm about either gun sales or recreational gun use, about trying to figure out and put a really strict lens on those things to make sure that we're checking every single box, because the last thing we need is to put something in our community that is a risk, and we didn't make them jump through every single hoop to make sure that what they're trying to build is safe.
We have, Blake, we have 3 minutes remaining.
Okay, so Blake, with those last 3 minutes, why don't you take that time to tell us a little bit about your campaign, how you're planning to go about winning the election, and then whatever time's left, tell us why you believe we should endorse you.
Yeah, thank you. So I think my main strategy is going to be trying to get out to folks that are regular voters in the city council elections, but I'm also interested in trying to figure out how do we activate folks that are my age, around my age. I'm 31. I've got a young family. So I'm trying to figure out how do we get involved with folks that are in my age group, that are high school voters, first time voters, things like that, to really make sure that we're not just trying to turn out the folks that vote all the time. Like that's a tried and true strategy, but how do we expand our voting universe? I think, I'm asking for your endorsement because I am a first-time candidate. So I'm trying to get my name out there and really work together with a bunch of different people to, highlight partnerships of how can we grow our community together, and how do we make sure that we're collecting all the input that we need to make sure that we're growing a great community. So you're going to find that I'm a doer. I'm going to get in on the ground, and I'm going to be knocking the doors. I'm going to be trying to activate other folks to be interested in my campaign and really push to see, if we can add another person to the city council that is fired up and ready to grow Urbandale in a positive direction, and make sure that we are, providing a good life for the folks that live in Urbandale, providing safe streets for them, providing a good opportunity for them to get a meal on the table, and jobs, and transportation, and a safe place, and a affordable place to live. I want to make sure that the suburbs are not just viewed as somewhere that people that have a lot of money can only live. Like, it needs to be a place for everybody, and we need to have an opportunity for our city to grow with that identity.
We get off mute here. Blake, I wanted to thank you very much for your time tonight. I do appreciate you being here. We are going to have this recording available this weekend, starting by Saturday evening, for all our members to look at on our website. Then, of course, on next Tuesday evening, starting at 7 o'clock, our members will begin voting for the 4 different candidates that you've all watched tonight. And they'll vote for up to 24 hours, up to Wednesday, the following day. Then we will contact you, and I'll contact the other candidates on Thursday morning to let you know if you have our endorsement, Blake. And
Awesome.
again, thank you for your time. If you have any questions over the next few days, feel free to give me a call, or Patrick. And again, thank you for your time.
Excellent. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Y'all have a great night.
Take care now. Bye-bye.